Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being with me. There's two topics that I'm going to discuss with you. Both are of significant importance, but I'll deal with the one that created really a lot of local concern by parents in the South Lakeland area of George Jenkins High School. And here's what occurred. At about 2:20 this morning, the Jacksonville mental health emergency line, suicide prevention line, received a call from a young man who said that he was going to hurt himself and shoot the school. So this conversation goes on for about an hour, and they have a lengthy conversation, and they're trying to find out where he is, and he gives street names in Jacksonville, and then he talks about Church's Chicken, and he talks about an eye clinic. And so as this is occurring, the helpline notifies the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, who took the call very seriously immediately. And when they took the call very seriously immediately and got their intel group involved in it, they ultimately were able to find out who owned the phone and start pinging the phone line, thinking we had an emergency. He was given descriptions such as, well, I'm by an elementary school and there's woods and I'm going to shoot up my school. And here's what we found. We found Orion Burts. He's 16. When we found him today at George Jenkins High School, he was in class. He's very social. He's highly intelligent. And he was on the football team. We saw no evidence of mental health issues at all from our observation or our communication with him. But interestingly enough, what really set everyone into a emergency response was as they were pinging his phone from Jacksonville. Now keep in mind that it's not involved with Polk County at all yet. All of a sudden, while this is pinging randomly in Lakeland, the ping that they received when they dialed us immediately was, oh my gosh, this phone has pinged at George Jenkins High School. He described the firearm, a Draco AK-47, that he had that he was going to shoot the school with. Our deputies on campus had an immediate response, as well as support staff, support deputies and law enforcement throughout the community. We were prepared for an active shooter event. Obviously, it doesn't fall on deaf ears or blind eyes that we had a horrible active shooter yesterday at a school in Georgia. We feared this might be a copycat. When we found him, he's lifting weights in this class. He doesn't know what we're talking about. We asked, can we see your phone? And there is the phone call where he has called this helpline. We interview him. He doesn't have any problems. He doesn't understand. He didn't do anything. Well, our investigation tells us clearly and unequivocally that, yes, you made this phone call, and he's been arrested with significant felony and misdemeanor charges. We take this very serious. Words matter. This kid went from a football player to in a lockup. He's no longer a football player because he's going to be, if he gets out of lockup, he's going to be over at another school for folks that create issues. This outrages me because we panicked all these high school folks, kids, and their parents. The great news today is there was not an active shooter. We saw no evidence of a gun. We find no evidence of a gun. We talked to the parents. The parents lawyered him up, but they were cooperative. You know what upsets me about this? What upsets me about this is that he thought this is a childish prank. This is a felonious act to threaten to shoot a school. And it's got to be that way. We take every one of these threats as if it's an actual event until we determine to the contrary. But why were we able to actively pursue this, figure out who this person was from Jacksonville, and arrest him? It's because of forward-facing or public data. Now, I want to share something with you. There was an act in Congress called the Fourth Amendment's Not for Sale, where they wanted us, law enforcement, not to be able to have access to this data. If you were in private business, you could have it. If you were a retailer selling product, you could have it. If you were an individual, you could have it. But law enforcement, not only could we not subscribe to these services to get this public data, but we couldn't use it if someone else gave it to us. They've refiled this bill. Now it's called Reform Intelligence Secure America Act. We wouldn't have been able to find this threat and potentially neutralize it. Had this been for real, we would have been able to have been there before the shooting occurred because of technology that the government's trying to take away from law enforcement. Allow everybody else to use it, but not law enforcement. And I don't want to go down the political street, but the truth is the truth and the truth hurts. In 2019, Kamala said, we don't want cops on campuses. Go research it. Don't believe me. What is going on? Because of the outstanding work by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, because we had the technology and were able to do an emergency ping, we had the ability to get on this event very rapidly. He's going to have to answer for his issues. And the court system will deal with him. And then we have systems and processes through the schools. As you know, we're the director of safe schools and the police agency for the schools, the public schools in Polk County. And we will also have protocols to monitor him and work with his parents to make sure that all this was an idle threat, that nothing would have occurred later in the day. So we don't know what we do know, but what we do know is he made this incredible threat that people scrambled around throughout Florida in order to protect children. Thank God for our work. Thank God for our access to technology so we could keep people safe. But when the politicians start talking about everybody can have this public-facing for data, but law enforcement, it stops us from keeping you safe if they ever pass such a law.